All right, guys. So this is a pretty interesting topic, okay, and kind of exciting topic for me to talk about. Because I've been kind of telling you guys or warning people, specifically on Twitter, that I think that conservatives and libertarians are headed for a divorce, right? And the reason why is that as time moves on, it becomes apparent to me that the temporary marriage that initially happened in the 1950s in the fight against communism between conservatives and libertarians, it is, in a rocky place, right? It may be coming to an end. And the reason why is because we find ourselves in a society that is rapidly changing when it comes to our social standards. And that brings out the difference between conservatives and libertarians in regards to social standards. And I think that this situation regarding Turning Point USA and Brandy Love, who is an adult film actress, really kind of brings that to light. Okay, and if you guys don't know what happened with Turning Point USA and Brandy Love, let me explain, because there was a lot of drama on social media and arguing between conservatives and libertarians, and also between conservatives and other conservatives as well, in regards to Brandy Love being kicked out of the Turning Point USA event that was targeted towards teenagers, right? 15 to 16-year-olds. Now, here's what happened. For whatever reason, Brandy Love, whom identifies as a conservative, was on a VIP list for this event. She was supposed to be a guest. Now, when she actually arrived at the event, she was denied admission, right? She found out that her VIP pass had been revoked. Now, I'm not sure if she was actually set to be a speaker or anything like that. All I know is that she was a VIP guest. She may not have been speaking to the students, right? But for whatever reason, some people at Turning Point USA found out that she was on the VIP list, and they took issue with it, and they disinvited her and refunded her all her money that she may have paid to, I guess, be on the VIP guest list. Now, obviously, Miss Brandy Love took issues with this, as, from her perspective, she's coming out and saying, I'm conservative. I'm a writer for the Federalist. I believe in some of the same core values and principles that you guys believe in. I might not necessarily be a fan of organized religion, but I do love God and this Constitution in this country. And, I should be allowed to be at this event. Now, this generated some backlash from more Christian conservatives and more socially conservative figures in the movement, such as Jenna Elise, who basically made the argument that you cannot be an adult film actress and conservative, right? If you work in a certain industry, if you're involved in certain lines of work that is not morally just and aligned with our morals and values, right? The traditional morals and values that they believe that the country's founded on, then therefore you can't be a part of the conservative movement, right? Because we're supposed to be traditionalists, right? We're supposed to be grounded in morality and ethics, okay? And that's essentially the argument from them. Now, this created a huge kind of debate on Twitter between these more religious / Christian conservatives versus conservatives who are more accepting and libertarians, right? Who are definitely like, we don't really care, right? In my opinion, guys, this is absolutely fascinating stuff, right? And the reason why is because I'm kind of observing this backlash that is kind of rumbling in the conservative community against this kind of more accepting approach that is happening within the Republican Party and on the right as a whole, right? For example, people like Jenna Ellis has renounced her membership in the Republican Party. She says, hey, I'm no longer Republican because I don't think that the Republican Party is an embodiment of conservative values. I think that the Republican Party is too accepting of things that don't align with the morals and values of conservatives, right? And she was specifically talking about LGBTQ issues, Caitlyn Jenner, right? Fox News kind of being in love with her and all of that, right? And one of the reasons why I find this fascinating is because I'm very surprised that conservatives and libertarians have been able to be married for so long against the left's progression towards socialism / communism, even despite the disagreements on the issues of morality and the government's role in legislating morality, right? And just to give you guys a little bit of background in terms of the difference between the two ideologies from a conservative and a libertarian standpoint, well, conservatives tend to believe that freedom and liberty is derived from morality, right? And that morality is derived from religion, specifically derived from the Bible, they believe, which is a book of laws, history, and prophecy. In my opinion, that's what I would define the Bible as. And they say, hey, we want freedom and liberty. However, you can't have true freedom and liberty without morality, right? Specifically, biblical morality. Now, that is the argument, and the belief is that this is what this country was founded on, right? That this is the tradition of this country, that there's a Judeo-Christian belief system and set of morals and values that we must adhere to in order for this country to have true freedom and liberty. As you know, I've even heard arguments made that, you know, you only can have a limited government with a moral society, because if society is moral and just, it is self-governing. Therefore, if society is self-governing, then you don't need an outside force to govern a self-governed society based off morals and values. And again, this comes from the original thought leader in terms of modern day conservatism, Edmund Burke, who was a political philosopher and an Irish statesman living and participating in the British Parliament during the 1700s. And Burke was a pretty strong proponent of the state religion, right? Or the religious state, in which, you know, he said that religion is the basis of society and the source of all that is good and all comfort. But he was also a pretty tolerant guy as well too, right? He was very tolerant of other religions such as Islam and Hinduism and things of that nature. I think that's because he kind of believed that derived religion of a society, regardless of what that religion is, the derived religion of that society is what is best suited for that society. And that's kind of how you get to social order, morality, and liberty within a society. Now, to be fair, Edmund Burke also viewed toleration as probably one of the best aspects of Christianity. Matter of fact, he argued that, quote, so far from being an attack upon Christianity, becomes the best and surest support that can possibly give to it. Okay, that's in reference to toleration in Christianity. So that's just to be fair to Burke. Now, when it comes to libertarians, they are often smeared as being immoral, right? Because they're less concerned about traditional moral concerns, right? Such as appeal to authority, personal sanctity, and things like that. They're more concerned about individual liberty, personal property, peaceful activity, voluntary exchange, laissez-faire capitalism, personal freedom, financial privacy, you know, individual responsibility, things like that, right? That's what libertarians are more concerned with. Now, that doesn't mean that libertarians are immoral. What it means is that they just don't believe that the government should interfere with voluntary, private, peaceful activity that's happening between consenting adults, right? Based off of some type of subjective moral standards. Okay, that's essentially what libertarians believe, right? That's why you see libertarians have a stance in regards to, you know, legalizing drugs, right? Drug use, right? Like, you know, who is to say that the government has the right to tell somebody that they can't put a drug in their body based off some type of subjective moral standard, right? And they also have kind of this same position on other things that more religious people may find immoral, such as prostitution, right? Which is more related to this video subject, in which they say, well, these are consenting adults. Okay, and just because we may find that to be immoral, it may be an immoral activity, that doesn't mean that the government has the right to criminalize immorality. Okay, especially again when it comes to victimless things. There's no victim involved. It's this person doing what they want to do with their bodies. The government should stay out of that. So that's kind of a crash course to explain to you guys the difference between the ideology, the social ideology between conservatives and libertarians, right? And the reason why I did that is because I think it kind of perfectly defines both sides of the argument in regards to this situation with Brandy Love and Turning Point USA, so that everybody kind of understands why each side is making the arguments that they are making. Now, in terms of what I want to say about this from a personal opinion standpoint, I must ask, is this worth dividing the right over, right? That includes conservatives and libertarians. And I'm not just talking about this Brandy Love situation specifically. I guess what I'm asking is this desire to legislate morality, is that worth dividing the right over? Okay, because obviously, like I mentioned, there's some people like, Jenna Elise and probably some more religious conservatives who really do believe that it's worth that they say, listen, I will just leave and not participate if this is what we are accepting. And again, I have to ask, is it actually worth it? Because I would argue that in the times that we're in right now, according to Gallup polling, we're at the lowest religious membership that we've ever had. LGBTQ ideology is spreading among young people, in which each generation it is becoming more and more popular. At this point, do these conservatives really want to cut themselves off from the conversation, period? Because that's what I would argue is what would happen if this is the hill that they want to die on. And I've, even seen conservatives who are more tolerant and do appeal to tradition kind of say, you know what, hey, I don't necessarily agree with that, but at the same time, we're at a point in this movement on the right that maybe Brandy Love agrees with enough of our policies and our ideology that maybe we shouldn't be cutting her off per se, and probably not putting her as the face of the movement or putting her voice out there, but maybe we just shouldn't be making a scene out of cutting her off. And I think that most people would agree that she didn't belong there in the first place, okay? It's probably inappropriate for her to be there. But maybe this could have been addressed in a way that is not so public, right? In which there can maybe be some mutual understanding of which events are appropriate for her to come to and which events are not appropriate for her to come to. And maybe exercising some tolerance could allow us to reach more people and to strengthen our cause and our fight against what's going on the left in regards to the movement towards socialism / communism. And maybe in virtue of that, we may be able to conserve and convert more people over to our social and moral standards. Now, obviously, you're not going to get everybody, but maybe you get some people. Maybe you make the change not happen as fast as it otherwise would if you just choose not to participate at all. Okay? Because again, if you decide that you don't want to participate at all and that you're just going to alienate everybody who, is not on board with you from a moral standpoint, then you're not going to expand the base. And ultimately, if you don't expand the base, then your voice will not be heard. And I think there's an argument to be made that the right at this point is not in a position where they can continue to lose people, right? The right has to be expanding and winning people over rather than alienating people and pushing people away. Now, I get it. A lot of people, feel that, Brandy Love and what she does for a living is a little bit too far, right? It's a little bit too much. And I 100% understand and I 100% get that. But I do think that the right has to be careful in a situation like this because the right is supposed to be fighting against cancel culture, right? One, and then two, essentially what you're acknowledging in a situation like this is that, well, this private business has a right to turn away this person, right? Even though they pay to be at this event based off these moral standards and standards of this business / this event. I mean, that's the same argument that can be used to support things like, vaccine passports and things like that, right? That's a private business has the right to determine what is required for entry into one of their events. You can make the argument that, hey, you should be vaccinated in order to enter this business for morality reasons. This is an argument that the left has used and is using against conservatives, right? I'm just saying it's the same exact thing. But with that being said, I think that Brandy Love dropped the ball here really because she knew that this was an event for teenage kids, and she knew that the group that she's trying to join, the movement that she's trying to join, has a more religious aspect to it, has a more conservative traditional aspect to it, and she should have been aware that maybe this is not the event that I should be going to. Maybe I should be going to events, conservative events that are more geared towards an adult audience, right? That, you know, you're not going to have a lot of kids there. Therefore, it will be less controversial. So I think that she dropped the ball in terms of reading the room. I think that ultimately led to this happening in the first place, is her lack of self-awareness. Even though, you know, she does say that she has been a part of the movement. She's been, you know, doing events like this and stuff before. I just think that she should have been more aware of this specific event and who was in attendance and what was it for. Maybe it's not appropriate for an adult actress to be present at an event featuring teenagers, right? So that's just some food for thought, right? And I want to know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.